Good evening. Good evening and good evening. Let's rock and roll. You folks in the dessert line, take your time. We're in no rush. We just want to get started because we have a number of people with us on YouTube, and we don't want them just sitting and waiting when we told them we would start. It is a wonderful looking room full. Thank you. Thank you. You have no idea how this feels for me. I have the wonderful privilege of visiting with you folks in my office. And to see you all together like this is just a thrill. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's do some housekeeping right away. If you need to move your chair, this is your opportunity. Stand up, take your chair, walk around. You can go anywhere you want to. Please be comfortable. Everybody have their cell phone turned off, please. And when you leave, would somebody at each table take the flowers home? If it's your birthday next week or last week or sometime, please take the flowers home. Again, thank you so much for being here. We know you're busy. We know you have lots on the go, and you cut some time out to come and be with us. Just sincerest thank you. It's a wonderful thing. We can just watch you having a meal together, having great conversations, and we get to share some ideas on how to be truly rich. It's just a wonderful thing. Thank you so much. Hallelujah, it's finished. And nobody's more happy than me. What a ton of work. I get to put my name on the book, but I'll tell you, it's a team effort. 6 months ago, Anna Maria said enough is enough, and she picked it up and carried it across the finish line. Bhaskar kind of came to us a little bit late in the project, but he was listening to us talk about what we wanted on a cover, and he was the first one to start an outline of a design. And my wife, Patty, should be on the book. Sorry. This book is autobiographical. Patty and I did not grow up in the healthiest of homes. And when we met, we knew things had to be different. And this book is our life of trying to figure it out. And then, again, you have no idea how much all of you clients should have your name on the book. We were reading things like The Millionaire Next Door, The 21 Success Secrets of Millionaires, but it was watching you folks that we really started to figure it out that, hey, this isn't about money. This is about what kind of person you are, what kind of life you're living. We learned that from watching you. Okay, let's get out of this little hole I'm digging myself into. Debbie and Julie. Julie, wave. Julie is there. Where's Debbie? She's here. She's outside. Here comes Debbie in the door. Debbie Katzmir and Julie Christensen are communications experts. They work with us as consultants. They come and visit us in our office every once in a while, look at what we're doing. They really did the final editing on the book, and just getting it published was a whole lot of mechanics. So thank you, Debbie and Julie. We have big plans. We have big plans. We believe the next 10 years, we're going to deliver service to you at a higher level. We've got all kinds of ideas. Actually, Debbie and Julie are a big part of that because it's a lot about communication. But we need your help. We need 1 or 2 new clients every month. More than that would be too many. We'd get swamped. And that's about where we're trending too, is 1 or 2 new clients a month. A third of them are coming because you're sending us your friends and family. Thank you. Thank you. 2/3 of our new clients are coming to us from social media. And I'll tell you the secret to social media. It's Google reviews. When you give us a Google review, our phone rings. And I'm not kidding. It's that direct. Please, would you scan this and give us a Google review? Give us 5 stars. Tell us that Bluestone Financial is the best. Terry Rempel is sexier than don't exaggerate, just lay it out there. Thank you. Okay, let's get to work. I've got 3 things I want to share with you tonight, and I'm excited about all 3. We're going to talk about the changing investment landscape. Then Patty and I had a magical moment at a conference, and I want to share it with you. Who's leading this financial industry in Canada? And then I'm saving the best for last, which is chapter 6, personal empowerment. If you go home and you want to start with chapter 6, that's okay with me. Okay, when we started, it was so simple. Do you want stocks, bonds, or GICs? If you want a GIC, go with the bank. If you want stocks or bonds, invest in a mutual fund. It was simple, it worked, and that's all changing. What's important is the three things that isn't changing. Number one, our goal for your invested dollars, the same three goals. We want your investments safe, we want your investments growing, and we want you to have retirement income from your investments. Number two, that's not changing. Equities, stocks are your best investment. You're just not going to find anything better than common stocks. That's not changing. And number three, if you want a good portfolio of fixed income and equities, you're going to need professional portfolio management. That's still our job, looking for the great portfolio managers. But what's changing is that it's no longer all mutual funds. That day is gone. And we're zeroing in on the four basics: mutual funds, managed portfolios, private pools, and active ETFs. And I just want to run through them quickly. We are absolutely not giving up on mutual funds. We love mutual funds. There are great mutual funds out there, and that's not going away. Managed portfolio, this really got us started like 5 years ago. We started with some managed portfolios. They've been great. Just that Fidelity managed portfolio is like, wow, one of the best investments we've ever done. Managed portfolios, we go to the asset managers and we tell them we want this risk level, we want this kind of a portfolio, we want this kind of a geographic diversification, and then they build that portfolio for us, for you. And then they monitor it and adjust it on a daily basis. Managed portfolios are great. Private pools, the best way to think about private pools is they're really pension style investing, but we haven't had access to them. They've been for people with, I'm not kidding here, 50 million, 100 million, just a little over my head. And so now they've dropped it. You can get into private pools now with anywhere between 5 and 50,000. So that's coming on stream with us. ETFs, let's talk about ETFs, exchange traded funds. That's a Canadian invention, by the way. We've been opposed. We've ignored them because they've always been passive. You bought an ETF, you bought the whole Canadian stock market, the whole US stock market, the whole global stock market. That's no way to manage risk. And remember, goal number one, we want our invested money safe. If you own everything, you own the junk and the good. That's not risk management for us. But now, what we're seeing developing is active ETFs. And wow, are they interesting? The portfolio managers are using computers to run screens. So they can run a screen and say, give us every stock in Japan. And then they can run the screen, eliminate the large and the small. We just want mid-cap Japanese stocks. And then they can say, filter out the ones that have zero debt. And then they can say, filter out the ones that have had increasing sales for the last 5 years. And then they can say, give us just the ones where the top executives own 10% of the company. Just, they've got skin in the game. And then they can do a final filter and say, show us one that the share price has been declining because we want a bargain. And they'll buy it. And they run these screens daily, and the portfolio managers are watching them. Active ETFs, they're terrific. We're starting to use them. Now, here's the problem. That all sounds great. But how do you do this without making a mess? Because people have funny ideas about diversification. A lot of people think diversification is, oh, I've got money all over the place, I'm diversified. No, that's not diversification, that's a mess. We want to do strategic asset allocation, intelligent diversification. And we've been working on this for a few years now using Morningstar. Morningstar is a big American company, and they have this resource, and they do it for Canada. We obviously are using the Canadian one. Like absolutely every piece of information about everything in the world is in this thing, and we can access it. So when we build your portfolio, it might be a managed portfolio, an active ETF, a mutual fund, a managed portfolio. We can put it into Morningstar, and Morningstar can tell us exactly what that portfolio looks like. And we can do it all on a single sheet of paper. So we can look at that portfolio, and we can see the pie chart. Okay, what do we have here? We have some US stocks, Japanese stocks, European stocks. We have some North American fixed income. So we can look at our pie chart to see that we really are intelligently diversified, even though we're bringing in all these different unrelated investments. This will also tell us the level of risk. It will tell us geographically how it's spread around the world. It will tell us like right down to specific holdings. There might be 200 holdings in this portfolio. It'll tell us every holding. And then what we can do is pick the best portfolio managers for each piece of this pie. If this is small cap Japanese stocks, we can go find the best small cap portfolio manager out there and slot them in. And we can play with it in our office. We can say, take this piece of pie out and put another one in, and how does that go through? That's all what we've been working on with Morningstar. And it's just opening up a whole new door for us in strategic asset allocation. We want to nail that. If you think in terms of our first two goals, safety of capital and growth of capital, you can really sum it up in two words: quality and diversification. Diversification takes care of the risk, quality takes care of the growth. And with Morningstar now, we can bring this all together. Okay, let's go on. If you remember, when did we go to Mont Tremblant, Patty? What month was it? It was that blistering snowstorm we had in winter. Patty and I drove to Mont Tremblant. We stopped in Toronto, then we stopped in Ottawa. We kind of just zigzagged the storm all the way to Mont Tremblant. And we were there for a Mackenzie Investments conference. The reason why we were so determined to go is because Paul Demra Jr. spoke. And we've never heard him speak. Nobody ever hears him speak. And actually, once we got there, we were scratching our heads like, why the heck do we have to go all the way to Mont Tremblant? Well, of course, he has a ski chalet in Mont Tremblant. I mean, don't we all? and so he could just walk over and spend an hour with us, and it was just great. I want to tell you how that went, but you have to set the stage. You have to tell the story of his father, Paul Sr. Didn't meet. We heard speak Paul Jr. His father, Paul Sr. The story starts when he was 24 years old. He borrows money from his parents and buys a beat-up old busing company in Sudbury, Ontario. Fixes everything that's wrong with it. It starts spitting out profits, and he uses the profits to buy other busing companies, and suddenly he's got a transportation company all over Ontario and Quebec. 1968, he's 41 years old, and he buys Power Corporation of Canada. Power Corporation was then a Montreal-based electric power company. And he used that to expand his power by buying other power companies, and then he hit high speed. He started buying everything. This is a great Canadian success story. Paul Demra Sr. just bought and bought, forged relationships with people around the world, and built one of Canada's great corporations, great global corporations. But along the way, what he really fell in love with was the financial planning and wealth management industry. They are major players. That's the focus of Power Canada now. And in Canada, now this is around the world, but in Canada, they own Great-West Life, Canada Life, London Life on the insurance side. And then on the wealth management side, they own IG Wealth, Mackenzie Investments, that's why he was there, and we were there, Investment Planning Council, and Wealth Simple. The flip side of this is an interesting story. It's a great business story, but it's also a fascinating family story. Paul Sr. ran the business. Jacqueline, his wife, helped in the business initially, but as the money started rolling in, they had 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls. Jacqueline ran the house, and ran is an understatement. Dinners were a main event in that home. You were expected to have a conversation about culture, art, music, and so on. And there was no rule that said we don't discuss business at the table. Paul Sr. would teach the kids and tell them the big deals he was doing, the risk over and over. You don't grow that size without risking everything. Over and over, he would explain to the family what he was all risking in order to buy and buy and buy. Paul Sr. and Jacqueline have passed away. It's about 10 or 15 years already. And the 2 boys, Paul Jr. and Andre, have been running Power Corporation for a number of years already, which was no big deal for them. They grew up in the corporation and they were ready for it. Okay, so let's talk about his speech to us that morning. In fact, it wasn't so much a speech as it was just it was a surprise. That was, Patty and I did not expect that. If you follow Paul and Andre in the news, they're stiff, they're serious, they don't talk much. And when he was speaking to us, he was exactly the opposite. It was like it took a while to adjust. Is that really Paul Demera? Waving his arms, and he was just so he was funny, but not in a way he was telling jokes. He was funny in a way that was just fun. It was amusing that what he was all and very down to earth. He was. Patty and I just by coincidence happened to be out. It was coffee break afterwards, and we were kind of at the end of the coffee and watched him walk out. He was the kind of person that you would go up and say, "Hi, hey, how you doing?" Except I think he had security. I would imagine he had some guy walking beside him that just didn't fit. And you got to think. I mean, there's probably a few thousand people that knew he was going to be right there at that time. He probably has to be careful. Um, Very bright, very bright. You could tell his mother did a good job of bringing him up. The next thing you have to kind of get used to when you're listening to him is this is a man who lives at the top of the world and has lunch with a who's who and gets in an airplane and flies to New York and has lunch and flies home. And he wasn't doing it in a braggadocio way. He wasn't name dropping to drop names, but you can't help but just get that feeling that I'm sorry to disappoint you. There's another level out there. One story in January, you'll recall that Mark Carney went to China and had a big to do in China. That was Paul and Andre. The Power Corporation has deep roots in China, have had for a few decades, especially in the financial industry. Andre spends time in China every year. So he was working his contacts in China. Paul Demera and Mark Carney have been friends for decades. So Paul Jr. was working over Mark Carney here in Canada. Andre was busy in China saying, hey, you Canadians and Chinese have got to kiss and make up and it's time. That's how it all came about. It was a fascinating story to listen to how that all happened. If you can imagine, I can't. It'd be like this is a person who grew up at the top of the world. By the time he was a teenager, his parents had hundreds and hundreds of millions. This is a person who has castles around the world, and yet when he talked about financial planning and investing, it was really moving. Like he knows where we're at. He has spent his life trying to figure out how are we doing our financial planning, how are we doing our investing. It was really inspiring to listen to him talk about it. Wealth Simple. He spent some time on Wealth Simple. You know Wealth Simple. You've seen the ads on TV. Retire richer, right? He talked about disruption. Is the financial industry going to be disrupted? AI is going to put us all out of a job, and everybody's just going to go to Wealthsimple and on and on. So their philosophy is we want to own the disruptors. If we're going to be disrupted, we want to know the companies that are going to throw us out of business. That's why they own Wealthsimple. And he talked about it in the sense of their revenue stream. To have the fees that low, they can't hire good financial advisors, they can't hire good portfolio managers. And it breaks down as clients at Wealthsimple have more and more and more money, they tend to take their money and go to where they can find a financial advisor. So Wealthsimple is really working with younger people without so much money, which means it's an administration machine. That's all it is. So that's the little bit of revenue they have because their fees are so low. It all goes into administration. So he wasn't saying, we're sorry we own Wealthsimple, we don't like Wealthsimple. What he was saying was he feels that it has a place, and certainly it does. Patty and I walked away thinking there are really good people in the world. You know, I can get cynical sometimes and think they're all jerks upstairs. They're not. There's really good people in the world. Actually, I know a whole room full of really good people. But it was nice to know at Mackenzie Investments, I mean, they're looking after our money. It just felt good to see what kind of person that he was. Okay, I said I saved the best for last. Personal empowerment. I love it. Chapter 6. This is simple. It works. Why does it work? Because it's based on how life works. This is the natural flow of life. And personal empowerment is found by rowing your boat in the flow of life. And it's called the feedback loop. Almost nobody knows about the feedback loop, but psychologists have been proving this in the lab over and over and over for decades. It's simply identity and action. Identity drives action, and action reinforces identity. Who you believe you are is driving what you do. And what you do is reaffirming who you believe you are. That's the feedback loop. Personal question. Actually, Julie asked me this question in the office the other day, and it stumped me. Personal question. Who are you? If we're just quiet for a minute, who are you? It's actually not easy to answer. And it's a question we actually don't ask all that often. It's not something we really think about. Next time when you're having a glass of wine with a bunch of your friends, stop everybody and go around the room and see how it works out. It's just not part of where we're at. And part of the problem is our identity was given to us. Parents, teachers, priests, employers, institutions, our culture have all convinced us of who we are. And the big problem with this is it's probably not your best self. And yet you're going through your life believing that's who you are. And this has repercussions because the feedback loop can work to the negative as well as to the positive. Let's say somebody is taught from a young person that they are unworthy. You're unworthy of good things. So, how is that person's actions? If they've bought into it, there's this feeling of, why try? Nothing good happens to me. I'll just be lackadaisical about it. And then there are poor results, which just reaffirm I'm not worthy. You're a failure. You'll never amount to anything. What does that bring about? Self-destructive behavior. Negative results then reaffirm you're a failure. Soren Kierkegaard said, the most common form of despair is not being who you are. Well, there's good news to this story. You get to choose who you are. No, it was not given to you at birth. No, it is not carved in stone. You get to choose who you are. Carl Jung, the wonderful psychologist, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And now you can tap into the feedback loop, this flow of life that you're going to row your boat in. It's life is actually designed to energize. This identity and action loop is what empowers you. That's the way life is. Maxwell Maltz, the author of that wonderful book, Psycho-Cybernetics. I've got it on my shelf. I had to pull it out. It's 7 decades old already. I was shocked when I looked at it. Amazing book. Maxwell Maltz. You will act like the sort of person you conceive yourself to be. Add Aristotle to that. We are what we repeatedly do. Okay? Feedback loop. Maxwell Maltz says you're going to do what you believe you are, and Aristotle says you're going to become what you do. The feedback loop. My argument in the book and with you this evening is choose becoming truly rich. Choose that as your identity. See yourself, paint a picture of that in your mind. See yourself, paint a picture of yourself at the intersection of wealth and well-being. Wealth, because life just costs money. And it's better if you've got money. But you can do things if you have money. Wealth is that door opener to I can do anything I want. And well-being is a tricky word. I like well-being because it rhymes with wealth and well-being. It's perfect. But well-being is tricky because you know what? It suggests that you're well, that I'm well. You know what? We're not. We're not all well. Our lives are not all well. We pretend because it's a very competitive culture and I need you to think that I'm better than you. I'm well. So well-being is a tricky word. I'll trade it for whole being. What's the 5? It's in the book. Your physical, intellectual, emotional, spiritual, relational, the 5 elements of the human being. Whole being is you're firing on all 5. I like that one almost better than well-being. But happiness is a good word too. Aristotle says the meaning and purpose of life is to be happy. Happy is a good word too. It's a tricky thing. We could spend a whole evening talking about it, but we know what we mean. It's that intersection, wealth and well-being. That's truly rich. There, in the book, I outline 50 steps to wealth and well-being. So 50 steps, that can be an immediate turnoff. It's like, have you got 3? 3 easy? No, it's 50. It's a lifestyle. It's a daily living with intention. That can be tiresome just thinking about it. But this is where the feedback loop comes back and makes it easy. Personal empowerment. Chinese Taoist philosophy has a saying. Sorry, when I lean down, that goes loud, doesn't it? Chinese Taoist philosophy has a saying called Wu Wei. It's called effortless action. When you're pursuing becoming truly rich, it should come naturally. The flow of life is just taking you there. The 50 steps just comes naturally. I'll close with a quotation from Trappist monk Thomas Merton. I think if we were to have a discussion, who was the greatest religious mind of the 20th century? I'll vote Thomas Merton. If you've never read Thomas Merton, I highly recommend him. You can, now I'm off my notes. I shouldn't have done this. You can read Thomas Merton without being religious. That's what I like about him. Here's what he said. And why I'm going to Thomas Merton is because he did a lot of research on personal identity. He was also a Buddhist expert, and personal identity was important to him. Here's what he said: "For me to be a saint is to be myself." I think that's right. Why a saint? Because saints are people who give. And when you're truly rich, you just naturally give. I started by saying how much you gave Patty and I, helping us find our way. But as you are becoming truly rich, that's really a gift you're giving to yourself. It's a gift you give to your family and friends. It's a gift you give to your God. It's a gift that you give to the universe. You fill in what's meaningful for you. But it's also a gift you give to the world, because there's only one way to make the world better, and that's to make people better, beginning with me. It's your gift to the world. Thank you.